Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wal Mursaleen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to welcome you all with the greetings of peace, and that may God's blessings be upon all of you. And we would like to thank you all for attending this event today, and especially to our honourable guests, our Honourable Mayor and Leader of the Council as well, and other guests that have joined us, that have collaborated with the mosque, so Jamia Masjid Ghausia in Lockwood, and who have done a lot of great community collaborations with ourselves, and likewise we have with them. And this is what a community is about, helping each other and doing good deeds together to help one another. And this is the very fabric of our society, and it's what keeps it all intact. And the main focus point of the mosque itself is that it is a community hub, and that we are wanting to welcome others, and we do want to work together with the rest of the community, so not just the Muslim community, but the wider community, which makes up Huddersfield, which, one of the, if not the best, one of the best towns in the UK, and it's one of the places where you can walk past anyone, you can say hello without them having any suspicion. Whereas if you're in London or other places, they either run away or they might call the police or do something else. So we are looking, Huddersfield, we have this very close-knit community, and as the host today, I just want to do a few announcements just before we begin the event. So in case there's an event of a fire emergency or any other emergency, please follow the marshals that are with the high-vis jackets. We don't plan to have any planned fire test or anything like that, so if anything does happen, we just have to make you aware of that. And if there is any first aid need, or if anyone is feeling unwell or unfit, then please again get help from someone who's wearing the high visibility jackets. So the course of today's program is we will invite our guests to speak, to share their few words, and also their reflections, as the month of Ramadan is not only just a month of fasting, but it's also a spiritual month in where that we are called upon to reflect upon ourselves, and where we realize that there are many things we can do without the mundane but interesting things such as food. There are other things that we can live by without food, and we tend to end up being more reflective, especially in the states of hunger. And this is probably why God knows best, as in why this is something that He has prescribed for us. So without further ado, I'd like to call first on Shabir Pandor, Leader of the Council, to share a few reflections.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and once again it's really great to be here. I've been coming here the last few years, and it's great to see so many people, and at the same time it's great to see that the project that you embarked on in terms of developing the Masjid, the mosque for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's taking shape. First of all, I'm the leader of the council. My name is Shabir Pandor. I'm a councillor in Batley. And Ramadan to me has a special place. Obviously, as a Muslim, I'm a firm believer that Ramadan is one of the pillars of Islam. And it's not just about fasting. Fasting is just one part of Ramadan. It's also about self-restraint. It's about charity. It's about reflection. And when you go hungry, the belief is that you actually reflect on all the ni'mat, all the things that God has given us. And it's time when we reflect back and actually appreciate what we have. And and at the same time reflect and look back of all the injustices that are taking place in the world. And I went to an event once, very recently, and one of the speakers said that poverty is a result of corruption. And I actually found that quite intriguing, because obviously, you know, the first thing that came in my mind was the third world countries. But then, when you look back and you see what's happening in the world, and what's happening in the UK, you have more people that are destitute, you have more people that are homeless, you have more people that are hungry, you have more people that rely on food banks, you know, and you have more people that are in a situation where they were well off, now are going to food banks. I even heard that hospital trusts up and down the country relying on food banks for their staff. I don't want to get too political, but it made me reflect that actually, if poverty is a result of corruption, then there's something not quite right. You know, I don't want to talk too much about the £36 billion that was earmarked for the protective equipment during COVID, but it makes you think that, you know, where is politics leading us? Because politics, to me, politics to a lot of the council in this room is about making a difference, and it's about making a difference to actually rebalance the economy and to actually do something to actually narrow that gap. So I'll just leave it there, food for thought in terms of what I just said in terms of poverty, what is the result of that. At the same time, during Ramadan, people from the Muslim faith, and that's what I'm going to focus on, come out in a way that they never have during the last 11 months in terms of giving. You know, any need, any calamity, any disaster, and the month of Ramadan, people take out the zakat, which is compulsory on people who are Muslims over 18 to actually give to charity. So once again, I'm really pleased to be here, and I don't want to take too much time because I've been given a minute or two. I think I've overshot that anyway. But once again, thank you very much for inviting me to speak, and no doubt we will talk later on. Jazakumullah khair, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Councillor Jamia, for sharing those words. Next up, we'd like to call upon someone who's worked closely with the mosque for since the beginning of the pandemic, which was providing a service for the youth in cricket and training them also as well, coaching, and being a majority Pakistani community that's associated with the mosque. We all do like cricket. Some still are a bit divided about who do we support, is it Pakistan or England? Me personally, I just support whoever's winning. At least I have less to worry about, less to feel stressed about, keeps me a bit younger as well. But Sohaib Khayal is from Dynamo's Cricket, who has worked very closely with the mosque in providing this facility, so I'd like to call upon Sohaib to give a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm from the Yorkshire Cricket Board. We started working with the Ghausia Mosque just after the pandemic. We got the opportunity with the help of Ahmed and his fellow friends. We've given back, they've given the kids as a sport. We use that as a tool to give the kids some sort of life skills. And they've took the opportunity on. They've worked really hard with the kids. I think it's been going on for the last 2-3 years now, and it's developing every year. So hopefully this year we'll be doing more sessions with the boys and the girls at Ghausia Mosque, and hopefully this year we might actually take them to the head in the ground. So good. And when you've got volunteers like them, the community should value them. Time is not given. Somebody gives you time, you will not get that back. So anybody that gives you any time, appreciate what time and effort they put into it. I don't want to take much of the time, but Jazakallah for asking me to come here and say a few words on behalf of the Yorkshire Cricket Board. I'm looking forward in the future to be able to work together a bit more.
Thank you very much, Sayed. One of the other purposes of the mosque, and is to basically educate other people about what the mosque is about, also what the principles of Islam is, what our core beliefs are. And with being in the UK, one of the great things about our education system is that we like to give other students the opportunity to learn about different faiths, to keep an open mind as well. And with the mosque here, we have had other schools come here to have a look around and to speak with our volunteers, with our imam, and just to know a bit more about the principles of Islam. So one of the guest speakers here today is Becky, who is from Netherton Infant School, who I'd like to call upon to share a few words.
I'm Becky and I'm a teacher at Netherton Infants and Nursery School. My role involves being the Religious Education Coordinator. As part of the KP syllabus for Key Stage 1 curriculum, the children learn about Christianity and Islam. Netherton is an area that is not as diverse as many other areas of Huddersfield, so teaching about Islam is very important. As part of their education, we arranged a visit to the Masjid Ghausia. I did this trip last year and again this year. We came to visit twice this year with 2 different classes of Year 2 children back in January. Even the snow didn't stop us catching the bus down to come and visit. I had a student teacher with me, Sabia, who got the opportunity to come with us on both of the trips. I truly believe experiencing different cultures and religions is the best way to learn and educate the upcoming generation. The whole experience was wonderful. The children learned so much, and even the staff I brought with me were learning too. It was really lovely to be able to see all the changes and the progress that has happened over the year. The new wudu room and for the men is stunning. The children were fascinated by the lights and the washing and the storage facilities for those that are no longer with us. The children enjoyed exploring all 4 floors of the mosque and are especially looking forward to the youth centre being finished, and can't believe anybody can come and play PS4 or football for free. The staff commented on how much they had learned from the visit, and it addressed any misconceptions they may have had to. This trip would not have been possible without the help and support of Wasim and Ahmed, so a special thank you to them for facilitating the visit and passing on their wealth of knowledge. I hope to be able to continue this visit on a yearly basis on years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. As Becky mentioned as well, that there was the facilities that we saw, such as the washroom facility, which is a new project that was launched last year, and we've completed that. And the purpose of the washroom facility is really for the deceased, so for the religious burial and shrouding process that Muslims go through. So the mosque itself is really supporting the circle of life. So also, as Becky mentioned, we've got youth activities planned. And so with the mosque, we want that to support the circle of life. So going through things from birth to marriages, and then to also the ultimate passing, which is on to the next life. So the mosque is there to really facilitate this and to really be a hub that supports people from cradle to the grave. So the next person I'd like to call upon is Mumtaz, who has done a lot of youth work with the mosque and has provided a lot of facilities and a lot of activities. So I'd like to call upon Mumtaz to share a few words.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, and peace be upon you. Welcome to our guests. Thank you for coming today. I'm just very quickly going to just share with you a bit of my experience. I mean, you're probably all fully aware about the earthquake that took place in Turkey and Syria. Well, when the earthquake took place, in those few days, actually, I was going to be booking my flight out to go to Pakistan to visit some family members. But instead, I changed my plans, and instead, I was able to go out to Turkey and to Syria as well, and do some work there. And whilst I was there, I just wanted to share with you some of the experience that I encountered actually. I think when we see on television a disaster happening or a trauma that people are going through, I think it's very different to when you actually go there yourself and you spend some time with them people and you live with them and you realize what these people are actually going through. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I was expecting it to be a charitable aspect of my time giving, where I wanted to go there and help the families and serve food and etc. But instead, when I got there and I realized that it was, imagine our whole of, I mean this is nothing, but imagine the whole of Lockwood, when you're walking and driving past these streets and you're seeing normal houses that are built up. But instead, if you were driving past and you see all the houses that are crumbled to the ground, they become literally like a sandwich. The houses have come down. So there was no chance of people surviving, of course, in some of them places. And after seeing this for 2 weeks, my own personal kind of experience was that I needed to get out myself. I couldn't take it anymore. I spent 3 weeks in total in Turkey. I was there 2 weeks in Hatay and Gaziantep and Samandağ and other areas as well. I was also able to, with a Turkish charity, they were able to take me into Syria as well, just to see what was the situation like there. So I spent 1 day in Syria as well. And I was able to see that actually they have had it much more worse than Turkey. And the worst thing is that in Turkey, there's a lot of charities that are going in and they're providing a lot of support to the people there. But in Syria, the situation was much more worse, and lesser charities able to go in because of the war that's been taking place there for the last 12 years. So they had the war, on top of the war, they had this earthquake that's taken place as well. But one of the things which is, it's amazing how things work out, but one of the things that the Syrian people were saying is that when I went to a few of the camps to visit the people, and they said, we're very lucky actually that we were living in tents rather than living in buildings. That's why we kind of survived through this earthquake that's taken place. Because had we been living in the buildings we were living in before, maybe today we wouldn't have been here. So they survived it because they were living in the tents. So I spent a few days in Syria, and then the rest of the time I spent in a place called Samandağ. And it was interesting because there was a gentleman from Middlesbrough. He actually went across to Georgia, to Belgium, and from Belgium there is a gentleman there called Carlo, who has a kitchen bus which is converted into a kitchen, and he drove the kitchen by road to Turkey, and it took him 5 days to get to the place where the earthquake had happened. So I went along, and I was aware of this gentleman taking the kitchen bus. So I found him at Samandağ, and I ended up volunteering with him for another 7-8 days. And it was a routine of every day. We were getting up in the morning and we were serving breakfast, and then dinner time, and then evening meal to these families that were living in the local camp. In the camp there was about 63 to 65 tents, and that's 63 to 65 families that resided there. Each tent was probably about 6 foot by 3-4 foot, and that's the only space they had where they were living in basically. They've got no cooking facilities, there isn't any food available, there's no shops around in the area as well. All the buildings some of the buildings that are standing, they're unsafe, so they can't live in those buildings. A lot of the people were outside their houses, and they had their tents put up outside as well, and everybody was outside living in tents there. Even the 3 weeks that I'd spent there, that was also in tents as well. And it was just shocking to see what had actually taken place there. Of course, went out to help the local people there. But also one of my reasons for traveling is because, as you can see, we're trying to open up a community facility downstairs. And once this community facility is up and running, a community centre, then we're hoping that through this community facility, we will be able to offer other young people the opportunity to be able to go and volunteer, so be it in Turkey or in other parts of the world. And this volunteering will be a great help for them as well, because when they apply to colleges or universities or they're applying for jobs, it's excellent for them to be able to showcase that they've actually been out and they've been working with people hard to reach, or they've been working in people where famine may have struck, or they've gone through some difficulties. And this also helps the young people to actually grow as individuals themselves as well. It matures them up too. So these are some of the activities we're hoping that, besides the PlayStation and which is all fun and all good, but I hope that it's going to be a bit more wider picture that we would hope to give an experience to the young people that will attend the youth facilities that we're looking to open up downstairs. Thank you for your time. And I just quickly wanted to kind of just share with you my experience of Turkey and what we're hoping, what the community facility will be offering as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sonia. We need to get some duct tape for the shop. Nobody duct tape?
Yeah, I'll get on the right.
So are you guys...
Terribly sorry, terribly sorry.
Might need a few more hands to help with this. Any volunteers? How many people does it take to put a poster? Any suggestions?
Who did this in the first place?
How many? Oh, there's 3 of us here. We might need a 4th person, so you're welcome to help. There we go.
We're all right.
We're all right, thank you. Yeah, we'll edit that out. Or maybe make a TikTok reel. I don't know, might be viral. Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought now, but the next person that has been leading what we call an action group in the community is our brother Faisal, who leads the Thornton Lodge Action Group, where they have held a lot of activities and workshops regarding to health, and also when it was the vaccination program, they also helped communicate and educate non-English speaking members of the community about the importance of the vaccination program, and also other issues related to drugs and other affairs that might be affecting the community. So they've done a lot of communication for the non-English speakers within our community. So I'd like to call Brother Faisal to share a few words.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, nice to see everybody here today. Yeah, I'm from Thornton Lodge Action Group. My name is Pastor Sadiq, and as the brother was saying there, we did a lot of work with the COVID. I think it was 1-2 years ago. At this time, we were all thinking about how we're going to protect each other, and thank God, thank Allah, we've come out most of the issues that we've had with COVID, and we are able now to live a normal life and move on. As brother mentioned there, a lot of training has been done in our community, working with the non-Muslims, and especially with the Asian community, the Pakistani-speaking people who don't understand how important things are. So, working closely with Kurtleys, we're able to translate the messages into a language that the residents there understand and come forward, especially when we talk about mental health, which is, and everybody's mind right now, is a key issue, but how do we tackle this? So at the Thornton Lodge Community Centre, we have women who come for classes there, sewing classes, baking classes, and also just gap shops that we can sit down and talk to each other so we can come out with these issues. For the men, I'm working currently with a project at the Nirvana Gym, which entitles youngsters who are there to be active in using the facilities there, gym equipment, also the boxing. And the idea behind it is to tackle the knife and gang culture. Recently we had a lot of stabbing in Huddersfield, which is sadly, but how we're going to tackle this is to start from the grassroots. This is where we got the kids together and show them the reality. What happens when you get caught with a knife? So we had police officers from West Yorkshire Police. We had them talking about the dangers, and also we've had the schools talking about this. So it's basically tackling from both ends, not only from the school, and also from the community. Currently, we're on projects looking at things like diabetes, and also the Healthy Families, which is a new project which has just been launched. In that situation, what we're doing is we're looking at how we can look at our residents in the community and make them have a healthy life by having the right nutritions, and basically how we can look after the side of cholesterol. As we know, in the Asian communities, a lot of curry that happens, people do a lot of curries, and the dangers of it, obviously, long term, it can affect your health. So again, some people don't always approach the NHS websites, which is probably the greatest place, but we can speak to them on grassroots at the mosques, such as this beautiful place and the Masjid, we're able to get the message through. And just like we use the platform as COVID, we're using the same engagement and having community champions, which is again what I am, one of the community champions, which I understand what the thoughts, the politics, and the culture and religious aspects are behind integrating into people's minds. Working closely with Masjid Ghausia, we will see, we were able to do great, fantastic work with the COVID and get the word out about the boosters and the injections. Now we've come away from that subject and we don't want to lose that engagement. So why now we work closely with the mosques, with Kirklees, and we're able to get the messages out. So I would just like to say thank you to everyone coming. And it looks like the Lord Mayor is following me today, everywhere we go. But it's nice to see some familiar faces in the community, and let's all come enjoy our meal tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Faisal. So as Faisal said, that in the community, eating a lot of curries is not really good for you. So just ignore what he said for tonight. So the next person I'd like to, well, we were hoping he could make it, but unfortunately he's not able to, is Danny from Huddersfield Street Kitchen. So Danny's done some really fantastic work, a very selfless person, a very caring person of the Huddersfield community, and one of our unsung heroes, I have to say. And he set up the Huddersfield Street Kitchen roughly about 3 to 4 years ago. Just serving food to anyone that was homeless. And I mean, it's not a good thing to say that there's more people, but the thing is that the fact that there are a lot of people that do come, and I remember we went there like last year, and there was a gentleman who said, he's working, but he still doesn't have enough money to put food on the table for his kids, for his wife. And this was a person who, if you saw him on the street, he was wearing a suit and tie, could have been any one of us. But he was just saying, he was crying, like literally crying. And Danny's set up this street kitchen. Basically, anyone who needs food, no questions asked, no one will be turned away. If you need the food, and a lot of them are homeless people or really, really struggling. So that's one of the projects that Masjid Ghausia has been working with Danny on, and that we've been providing weekly food packs as well over at the Huddersfield Street Kitchen. So on behalf of Danny, I'd like to call on Imran Safdar to share a few words. We've also been working closely.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, esteemed elders and public servants. So it's my pleasure to be here today, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my dear friend Danny Burrows and his amazing volunteers from various different faiths. We here at Masjid Ghausia believe that charity begins at home. So of course our dear Sheikh is involved in international charity projects. We feel the pain of impoverished families, orphans, widows across the world, as my dear brother Jamia said. There is a problem in the world. Corruption leads to extreme poverty, and when there are natural disasters, home or abroad, that we reach out as brothers in humanity, and we do not discriminate as Muslims, home or abroad, to who we feed and who we assist. So the Huddersfield Street Kitchen is a project very close to our hearts. Brother Ahmed, Brother Wasim, our dear Sheikh, lots of the congregation, many families, including my own, and so many families here, have cooked meals, providing groceries for the Huddersfield Street Kitchen. The thing we love about this particular project, I implore you all to get involved with organisations like the Mission, like the Jubilee Centre, the Huddersfield Street Kitchen, and I believe a project that Brother Vessel is involved with on Friday night. There's various projects in Huddersfield that feed regardless of faith. We do not ask questions, no judgment. The service users are treated with dignity, and we do that with izzah, dignity, and giving them parda is important. So we won't take any photos or show a camera in their face. Everything is done in a very caring, compassionate, non-judgmental manner. So I ask you to get involved, even if it's a few bags of groceries a week, a few tins of beans, maybe you can cook some dal, some biryani, whatever you can cook, get involved, because Danny and his team from all faiths and all walks of life feed probably a few hundred people every weekend here in Huddersfield. Some as victims of abuse, some are homeless, and some are making the tragic choice between heating and eating. It's a sad testament that in the year 2023, in a country probably the 6th or 7th richest economy in the world, we've got literally millions of people who have no idea where their next meal is going to come from. It's because energy bills are out of control. I'm not going to get into the economics of the situation, but this is an appeal on behalf of the Masjid, and it's thanks to all the community, Muslims, non-Muslims, for getting involved in our street kitchen project. So I leave that final with you. Look on social media, it's a Huddersfield Street Kitchen, and Masjid Ghausia are a key partner of this organisation. They feed people who are struggling outside Tesco car park every Sunday, I believe, at 1 o'clock, and our family's been cooking, and we'd like you to get involved with this project. Just contact the team or M about this. Sorry I digress, I'll grab it on. Thank you, enjoy the evening, and please get involved with the Masjid, and I hope you have a lovely time on the upcoming tour, inshallah. Jazakallah.
Thank you very much, Brother Imran. So, as you've heard, the mosque has been working very closely with an organisation that is in Huddersfield to help those that are in need. But also, the mosque has also been involved with a lot of international projects, which has been through the guidance of our Imam, our Allama, Sheikh Umar Hayat Qadri, who has worked with charities and also organisations in distributing food, and has his own foundation, Suffah Foundation, which has delivered food packs and clothes packs to those that are in need in Turkey that were affected by the earthquake, and also various projects in Pakistan and Tanzania. So I'd like to call on Allama Umar Hayat Qadri and Brother Jamshid.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. I mean, this is becoming a bit of a familiar face now. Wherever Sheikh goes, I tend to try to join him on his adventures.
Our spokesperson.
You do a better job than me, though. Right, alhamdulillah. First of all, welcome everybody on behalf of the Imam. Lovely to see you all following on from last year. This is lovely to hear about all the different organisations, the different charities, and all the great work. And and a heartfelt thank you for the different organisations to kind of work with the mosque as well, and coming here and working from this platform, which is great. So I'm here to talk about Suffah Foundation. So this is a charity. So the Imam's been with us for nearly 20 years now. Since he's come to Huddersfield, he's always been serving the local community here in Huddersfield. The Suffah Foundation is a charity that the Imam started in Pakistan, so before coming to the UK. And there's so much I can cover regarding Suffah, but I'm going to kind of try to cover the following three topics, so around welfare, around literature, and also around education and wellness. So around the welfare, every year the Imam leads from the front. He's been doing personal visits to Tanzania to deliver aid, to deliver donations that have been collected from Huddersfield and from around the world, and personally going out to Tanzania and actually delivering that aid. And it usually happens just before Ramadan, so that the families have got everything they need, for Ramadan and beyond. We're talking around 70 to 80 kg per pack. And this year though, due to the disaster, the earthquake in Turkey, Syria, the Imam with a couple of other Imams went to Turkey and the Syrian border this year. And again, alhamdulillah, he was there for around 6 days, and every day he was in a different area, different city, different region, distributing aid and seeing the effects of the earthquake, firsthand. And again, for us, the congregation, for the community, a real inspiration, leading from the front. Many of us have spoken to the Imam to maybe go again after Ramadan, because over there they still need help. They're going to need help for many months, and so a small team is looking to potentially go out after Ramadan as well. But to hear the kind of stories, we heard from Brother Mumtaz as well, who went out there, and to hear firsthand, the damage. I don't think the media, it does justice to what the people are there going through, and especially going right up to the border, the Syrian border, and there's refugees that have been living there in poor conditions for a few years, and now after the earthquake, things have just become really desperate. So they're desperately in need of our help, and for us, the congregation, it's a real inspiration when we see our Imam leading from the front. When it comes to work around welfare and helping humanity, this is even more sacred than our 5 ritual prayers, for example. It's another form of worship, it's another form of pleasing God Almighty when we serve humanity. So, in terms of welfare work, so yeah, Tanzania, other areas of Africa, there's more than 100 food packs were distributed in Pakistan as well, just before Ramadan. In the few days leading up to Ramadan, and so yeah, we tend to partner with other charities as well if we can't get on the ground ourselves with donations. With a partnering charity to make sure that the aid does deliver. So that's around the welfare. Moving on to literature. And this is the real foundation of Suffah Foundation. Why Suffah Foundation was formed initially, and it's to basically publish and distribute Islamic literature, and this literature is distributed all around the world. More than 500,000 books have been printed and distributed for free, and this is in different languages: English, Urdu, Dutch, and Arabic, and they cover all various topics for Islamic literature for beginners, Islamic literature for non-Muslims, Islamic literature on various social issues, and also countering kind of the false propaganda against Islam as well. So literature that kind of shows the right message of Islam, the right teachings of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And so this has been going on for like 25, more than 25 years now. There was a period, it's kind of stopped at the moment, but we even did like a quarterly magazine as well, again targeting some of the youth, really simple, easy messages that the youth can understand. So really passionate. These days when libraries are closing and people stop reading books, the Imam is pushing the whole kind of books agenda, and we love it here. We see when a lorry pulls up and getting books, crates of books, coming off the lorry, and they distribute free for immediately, obviously, our own mosque and the Huddersfield community, but we have messages coming into social media, on Facebook or over Insta, just requesting these books, and the most we charge is just packaging. But just the shipping cost, but otherwise the books are free. We'd love to if anybody wants any sets of books today, please just reach out to me or anybody in the yellow jackets, and we can give you some books today as well. And finally, around education. So this obviously is a huge area, but I think the main thing I want to point out is that when the Imam believes in all the different organisations that are working with the mosque. So when Amanah Mosque wants to do work with the sisters around mental health and well-being, it's the Imam who stands here and he promotes it. And he's personally making phone calls, encouraging people to get involved, and that goes a long way. Sometimes, we see something, a service that's been provided, but we might ignore it. But when it's endorsed by the Imam, then a lot of people get on board. That one phone call, people get out of the house and they'll actually get involved. So whether it's the Thornton Lodge Action Group, for example, Amara, other organisations, and that's personally something for myself. That's what I love, the way he gets behind these initiatives and encourages everybody to get involved and participate. Other things around education, so we did a massive drive to counter the narrative around Islam promotes terrorism or extremism. So we countered that narrative, did roadshows known as Axis of Evil. These were done across different community centres in different towns and cities, plus also in different mosques. And this was a time when the youth, they were probably getting confused. ISIS, do we follow them, do we not follow them? There needed to be a voice of reason. The correct message of Islam needed to be delivered. And the Imam led from the front in the UK, when you consider this, more than 1,000 Imams, really proud to say that it was our Imam, this platform, this mosque, that kind of addressed that narrative, and it was really important to be addressed. So much so, even the British ambassador to Indonesia, even called upon the Imam and invited the Imam to visit Indonesia, which the Imam went to. I went with him, and we got to see why this problem of terrorism and extremism is not a problem, for example, in Indonesia. How can we learn from them? What messages can we share with them? So that was a really, really great, intuitive kind of trip out there. The other things around education, so especially around the COVID area, during COVID, the personal messages, the small snippets, the kind of TikTok-style videos that the Imam created in the native, Urdu language, Punjabi language, encouraging people to get vaccinated, giving messages of how we can keep safe. So these were well received in the community. And also post-COVID now, so still how can we look after our health? So when there's screening services happening, whether they're happening in the mosque or in other local community centres, Imams encouraging everybody to take up these services seriously, to look, our own kind of physical education is the importance of it. So just general kind of messages around education. Alhamdulillah, it's about, I guess, leading from the front and being a role model for the rest of us. Yeah, all right, we're running short time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jamia. So I know it's getting a bit crowded in here, and one thing is on everyone's mind. But before we finish, I'd like to just wrap up with a few words. Just really to let you know that this community centre that we are making is a community centre for everyone, and that it's a centre that we want Muslims, non-Muslims, male, female, people from all walks of life to feel welcome to, and that hopefully we can then hold more engaging events like this without it disrupting anything of the prayer times or the logistics and things like that. So we really do encourage you that you support this initiative, and I would like to really thank you all for attending this evening, and especially a great thanks to our honourable guests for sharing their few words, their reflection, and also those that have made an effort to come here. We really thank you for that as well. So thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There will also be if anyone wants to see a mosque tour as well, and also the new facilities that we have implemented within the last year. The people that are in the high-vis jackets, they will show you around. Thank you.